In 1969, a man climbed into a submarine he had built himself and sank to the bottom of Loch Ness. He was not a showman. He was an American engineer who had spent 2 years and his own money welding together a one-man submersible, painted yellow, small enough to sit on a trailer. He brought it to Scotland to settle the question the only way he thought it could be settled, by going down into the black water and looking. He made the dive. He came back up. And what he said afterward was strange enough that the expedition around him quietly fell apart while he spent the next 30 years of his life trying to get back down. This is what he found at the bottom of Loch Ness, why the search stopped instead of intensifying, and what science still cannot rule out about the water underneath. Loch Ness is not a lake in any sense that should reassure you. It runs over 20 miles long and drops more than 700 feet, deeper than most of the North Sea, holding more fresh water than every lake in England and Wales combined. And the water itself is the problem. Peat stains it a deep brown black, so visibility collapses to almost nothing a few feet down. Below 30 feet, a diver is blind. No light, no distance, just your own lamp reflecting back off a wall of suspended particles. Hold that word blind, because everything that follows happens in water where seeing is not an option. What he found on the bottom was strange before he saw anything at all. Every survey had assumed a hard floor, scoured clean by depth and cold. What his submarine settled into was silt, deep, soft, endless, so fine it swallowed the skids and rose around the ports in a slow brown cloud. He described the bottom of Loch Ness as a place where anything could be lying and nothing would ever be found. Keep that detail, because no amount of skepticism argues it away. That floor is 100 feet of sediment that has been settling since the ice left, and nothing that dies in it is coming back up. The one place a body would be is the one place no search can reach. And then, on one of those descents, it happened. What he said afterward was notably restrained. He never claimed to have photographed a monster. He said that while he sat on the bottom in near total darkness, something moved outside the hull, not the current, not the silt, something large enough that he felt the submarine shift. He put the lamp on it and saw only the brown wall his own light was bouncing off. He was blind in a metal shell 700 feet down, and something big had just passed him in the dark. What stays with people is not what he claimed to see, it is what he did next. He spent the rest of his life and most of his money designing a second submarine to go back. Men who invent monsters do not spend 30 years trying to prove it to themselves. And he was not alone down there. 1969 was the year serious equipment came to Loch Ness. A professional survey team worked the loch that same season with sonar, and their results never made the postcards. Their instruments recorded large moving contacts at depth, too big and too purposeful to match the known fish, appearing on the trace and then gone before anything could resolve them. These were technicians reading their own equipment, and their own equipment kept showing them something they could not name. When a survey team reports the same anomaly as a man sitting blind on the bottom, it stops being a story and starts being a data point. The exciting answer has to be set aside honestly, because the honesty is what makes the rest believable. There is no plesiosaur in Loch Ness. The loch has only existed in its current form for around 10,000 years, and the 2018 genetic survey found no reptile DNA at all. That case is closed. But look at what the same survey did find. The loch was overwhelmingly full of eel DNA at every depth, in quantities among the highest ever recorded, and asked directly whether an enormous eel could be down there far beyond the size any eel is supposed to reach. The scientists did not say no. They said they could not rule it out. A long, dark ambush predator that hunts by feel rather than sight and stays on the bottom is an animal built precisely for a blind loch with 100 feet of silt on the floor. It fits the water. What it does not fit is the size the sonar suggested, and that gap between the animal that should be there and the thing the instruments kept finding is the whole mystery in a sentence. which leaves the tidy explanation. The contacts were shoals of fish. The engineer felt his own turbulence. The whole thing dissolves under scrutiny. It is reasonable. It also sets aside everything the people who were actually there reported. It sets aside 100 feet of silt that guarantees no body will ever be recovered. It sets aside the survey team's own traces. It sets aside a man who could have cashed in on any claim he wanted and instead spent 3 decades trying to get back to the bottom. The testimony was never refuted. It was set aside because the alternative, that we do not know, is uncomfortable for a search everyone had already agreed to treat as a joke. So we are left where he was left, a homemade submarine on the floor of the deepest water in Britain, sonar traces no one could name, a loch too dark to see in, and a bottom too soft to search. The plesiosaur story is the exciting version, and it is wrong. But the version the evidence supports is worse, because eels do not stop growing the way we do. In cold, dark, food-rich water, with nothing above them and no reason to hurry, they simply keep going, slowly, for decades. And Loch Ness holds more of them than almost any water on Earth. Whatever moved past that submarine in 1969 did not die when the expedition packed up and went home. It has had 57 more years down there. In the black, in the silt, in a loch nobody has been back to the bottom of since. It was already large enough to shift a submarine in the dark. It has been growing ever since, and everyone is still standing on the shore, cameras pointed at the surface, watching the wrong part of the water. If you have ever been out on deep water and felt something you could not account for, a shape that should not have been there, a movement too deliberate to be current, tell me where you were in the comments. And subscribe, because the loch has not finished giving up what it hides, it has barely started.